Greetings and salutations. It is I, Mr. Nothing, the museum curator of the weird and the strange, and the host who might be a ghost. Welcome back to Around the Weird, your booktube channel, yada yada yada. Today, I want to quickly discuss a book that I've been that I've read, one that's in a series that I've been exploring. I'm talking about the Sandman, Volume 5. A Game of You by Neil Gaiman, with illustrations by Sean McManus, Colleen Duran, Brian Talbot, Stan Walk, a foreword by Samuel R. Delaney, and introduced by Orlando Jones. So, I've been reading this lately. Pretty okay. I got it from our local library. Don't forget to patronize your local libraries. I've been reading this series, and I've been really happy about the series. A quick recap. Dream escapes from his imprisonment, takes revenge on his captors, sets the dream world in order, recalls events of his past, and becomes the ruler of hell for a spell, before he ultimately decides to pass it on to God and the angels, because he doesn't want to have responsibility for it, and he feels that they will be the appropriate keepers of hell. And so now we're on to Volume 5, A Game of You, which I had high hopes for, but yeah, it was kind of wonky in my opinion. And so I just wanted to provide a quick summary and quick analysis. I don't want to spend forever talking about this because, I don't want to dwell on, the disappointment. So without further ado, a little summary, a little analysis, and we'll move on from there. So A Game of You revolves around a scary. A scary is an island in a reef somewhere. In the middle of the ocean or something like that. It focuses on a dream scary, so like an island of dreaming. Dream notes that one of the dream scaries is falling apart, and he doesn't intend to do anything about it because that's what usually happens. Dream scaries die, others are formed, and that's just how things go. Meanwhile, there's the character of Barbie. Apparently, there are these dream figures who are looking for Barbie as she is their princess, and they want to warn her about the cuckoo, which is a terrible, like, monster imagination thing that wants to get at Barbie for unknown reasons. Barbie has some friends in a boarding house she lives with, a gay couple, apparently a witch of some sort, and Wanda, who is trans, a very odd depiction of a trans individual here, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. One night, Barbie falls asleep, and everyone has nightmares. Barbie, in particular, dreams about the scary that's in her that's in the dream world, and the dream creatures find her and tell her that she is their princess, and that they have to save this land from being destroyed by the cuckoo. What the cuckoo's motivations are unknown at this point, but they traverse across the landscape of frozen tundra and forest, dealing with death and whatnot. Ultimately, they are betrayed, and Barbie is given to the cuckoo. The cuckoo reveals that they were the various creatures and her were once a part of her imagination. But she over time forgot and stopped dreaming, and so the cuckoo is a bit upset and wants to destroy Barbie, and I think the world. It's unclear. However, Barbie's friends enter the dream realm and save her. As good as they can. They end up killing someone else by accident. Dream shows up again and is like, "What are you all doing here? None of you actually belong here." He assists in destroying the scary, as is natural at the time. And Dream grants grants Barbie a wish. She lets the cuckoo go because it makes no sense to kill the cuckoo because it was in her nature to be evil, I guess, or something like that. So Barbie just wishes that everyone would go. But before everyone can leave, Wanda, who was protecting Barbie in the real world as she slept, is killed during a tornado in New York City for some reason. I don't know. Bury your gaze, I guess, is the thing there. Afterwards, Barbie attends Wanda's funeral. Her family is not very accepting of her trans identity, but as everyone leaves the funeral, Barbie crosses out the Wanda's dead name and actually writes Wanda on the grave. And then, as Barbie is dreaming later on, Wanda and Death are seen waving at her, which I felt was a kind of heartfelt moment in an otherwise forgettable volume edition of this series. And so that's where it ends. In terms of analysis, there's not a lot I want to talk about. The most interesting idea is the cuckoo, an imaginary friend who was lost in the dream world and as a result decided to take revenge on the person who dreamed it into existence. I think that's a neat idea. Neil Gaiman doesn't do nearly enough work to expunge upon that idea. It just seems like it's introduced and then quickly forgotten about. But I like the idea that imaginary friends are eventually set loose into the dream realm, and you can revisit them, but eventually you'll forget about them, or maybe you'll stop dreaming, and that's just what happens, I guess. It's a neat idea. I just wish Neil Gaiman had worked on it harder. But there's so much that I don't like about this specific comic. Dream plays a very small role. Like, you see him in the beginning and then at the end, but he feels inconsequential in the comic that's supposed to be about him. I get that he's an endless one, and so like you would have a comic about like an uncaring god watching over the dream realm, but I kind of want more from Dream, especially when we were given a wonderful insight into his personality in the first 4 volumes. But this one just feels kind of hollow, kind of boring. Another issue is that it feels kind of transphobic. Like at the very end there, it seems very pro in favor of trans rights or something like that, of supporting the transgender community. But Neil Gaiman and the artists seem so focused on painting Barbie as a dude for some reason, and highlighting that Wanda, highlighting that Wanda still has her dick, male genitalia, and it's really obsessively focused on that, and it seems to do more harm than good to the trans community. So it seems kind of transphobic. This was the 90s, and we don't know what we know today, so I guess that's a point for it, but it still comes off very insensitive, and I'm not a fan of that. I also don't like the story in general. It feels incomplete, it feels incoherent, it's kind of boring. I don't exactly know what's going on. Gaiman introduces a whole lot of ideas as if he expects you to have heard of them before, and he talks about the cuckoo as if he's mentioned the cuckoo before, but this is volume 5 and he hasn't mentioned the cuckoo before, or even introduced the idea of scaries or islands of dreaming. It doesn't really make sense. The cuckoo just goes free, and I don't really understand what that means for the cuckoo. Maybe the cuckoo will show up in later stories, but I can't forgive that for making this story feel so incoherent, and it's not fun. Like, the first 4 volumes were a lot of fun to read. They had their problems, but this one just feels bad, not very good. I found myself zoning out at times because the story just couldn't capture my attention. And plus, the art wasn't nearly as good as the other volumes. It felt like, they took a day off and just made, regular, non-really compelling art, which is out of the norm for this series, because it's been nothing but really quality art since the first edition. So that's my issue there. So those are my thoughts on Sandman Volume 5. Not a fan of it. I don't recommend it. I feel like you could even skip it. I don't know what happens in volume 6, but I would think that, yeah, you could probably skip it without issue. I don't really know, and I guess I don't really care. Unfortunately, which is weird because I really wanted to like this, but I guess every comic book series has its ups and downs, and this is unfortunately one of its downs. If you read this before and you have a different opinion, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, if you have something to say about my review, absolutely say it. I'm sorry that I was so negative, but you know, this isn't very good, and I'm not going to laud praise on something that doesn't deserve it. In the meantime, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that more people can find out about the Sandman series, a mostly good comic book series that kicks butt, in my opinion. And until then, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and cuckoo travels. Farewell.